Have you ever pondered over the unspeakable mysteries that lurk within the quiet corners of suburbia? Today we delve into one such mystery, a tale that revolves around the Looman family. The Loomans were an embodiment of the quintessential suburban dream, residing in a picturesque two-story home complete with a white picket fence and a dog named Max. They were the epitome of the American dream. Meet the Loomans. John, a successful lawyer, his wife, Grace, a beloved school teacher, and their two children, Emily and Ben. They were well-liked and respected, leading lives that were seemingly perfect. Regular attendees at church, active in local community events, the Loomans were the kind of family you'd expect to see in a Norman Rockwell painting. But, as the saying goes, appearances can be deceiving. One evening, the Looman family, who had been a part of the community's fabric, vanished without a trace. Their house, a symbol of their perfect life, was left untouched. Dinner plates still sat on the dinner table, half-eaten meals growing cold. The children's homework lay unfinished on the kitchen counter, their pencils still bearing the marks of their last strokes. It was as if time had stood still at the Looman residence. There were no signs of a struggle, no indications of a break-in. The family car was still parked in the driveway. Their personal belongings remained in their rightful places. It was a scene eerily frozen in time, a stark contrast to the lively and warm home it once was. The Loomans had disappeared, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a community shaken to its core. The mystery of their disappearance would soon engulf the quiet suburb, turning it into a hotbed of rumors and theories. But the truth, the real story of what happened to the Looman family, remains shrouded in mystery. The Looman family vanished, as if they had never existed. It was an ordinary evening in the Looman household, or so it appeared. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the silhouette of their quaint suburban home was a portrait of routine domesticity. Earlier in the day, the Loomans had been seen at a local community event, smiling, interacting, their lives seemingly untouched by the ominous shadow of the impending tragedy. Their neighbors, the Johnsons, fondly recall the animated chatter of the Looman children, their laughter echoing across the picket fences, the sight of Mr. Looman meticulously tending to his roses, Mrs. Looman's gentle voice humming a familiar tune as she set about her evening chores. But as twilight turned to night, an unsettling quiet fell over the Looman residence. The usual sounds of life and laughter, the warm glow of lights through the curtains, the family dog's occasional bark, all faded into an eerie silence. The neighborhood, used to the rhythmic hum of the Looman household, felt the absence of its heartbeat. The Robinsons living across the street were the first to notice the stillness. They spoke of how the Looman's house, usually a beacon of life on their street, stood dark and silent, the family car parked untouched in the driveway. The Thompsons next door noticed the same. The Looman's home, usually alive with activity, was oddly quiet, the windows darkened, the front door firmly shut. As hours turned into days, the strange silence that had enveloped the Looman household remained unbroken. The driveway remained empty, the roses began to wilt, and the front door stayed closed. The Loomans, a family once so full of life, had seemingly vanished into thin air. And then, just like that, they were gone. As dawn broke, the reality of the situation began to set in. The quiet town awoke to the startling news. The Looman family, a beloved part of the community, had vanished without a trace. The police, with their steely determination and unwavering commitment to justice, commenced their investigation into this bewildering disappearance. The Looman home was cordoned off, transformed overnight from a place of familial warmth to an eerie crime scene. The local law enforcement scrutinized every inch, searching for some hint, some clue that might shed light on the family's whereabouts. But the house stood mute, its walls withholding their secrets. No signs of struggle, no indications of a break-in. The family's belongings were left untouched, their lives seemingly frozen in time. As the hours turned into days, the local community was left in a state of shock and bewilderment. Parents held their children a little tighter, neighbors looked at each other with wary eyes, and the town's usual humming rhythm was replaced by an unsettling silence. The Looman family's disappearance had not just left an empty house, it had left a gaping hole in the heart of the community. The police, despite their tireless efforts, were stumped. No leads were turning up, No plausible motives were emerging. The Looman family was well-liked, with no known enemies or shady connections. The lack of credible leads added to the growing sense of dread. It was as if the family had been swallowed up by the earth itself. It was a case that defied explanation, a puzzle with missing pieces. As the days turned into weeks, the initial shock gave way to a chilling realization. The Looman family, with their warm smiles and hearty laughter, their dreams and aspirations, their very existence, had seemingly vanished into thin air. In the absence of answers, speculation began to fill the void. The Looman family tragedy, a case shrouded in mystery, sparked a myriad of theories. Theories that painted a grim picture of what could have happened that fateful night. One prevailing theory suggested a crime of passion. Some whispered of hidden secrets and silent feuds that might have driven someone to commit such an act. Others believed it could be a random act of violence, a horrifying testament to the unpredictability of the world we live in. A more controversial theory suggested the involvement of organized crime. The Loomans were a well-off family, and it was conjectured that perhaps they had crossed paths with the wrong people. However, without substantial evidence to support these claims, they remained just that, conjectures. Then there were the suspects. From the suspiciously quiet neighbors to distant relatives with obscure motives, the pool of potential perpetrators seemed endless. Yet, despite extensive investigations, none were conclusively tied to the crime. The impact of the tragedy was deeply felt within the community. It was as if a dark cloud had descended upon the suburb, casting a long shadow of fear and uncertainty. Parents held their children a little tighter, neighbors eyed each other with suspicion, and the once tranquil suburb was now anything but. The Looman family tragedy had changed the perception of safety within the community. Theories and suspicions swirled around, creating a chilling narrative of the event. Yet, each theory seemed to raise more questions than it answered. It was clear that the Looman family tragedy was not a simple case. It was a complex web of unanswered questions and unresolved suspicions, a puzzle that seemed impossible to solve. The Looman family tragedy had become the suburb's darkest mystery. The theories, the suspects, the unanswered questions, they all added to the enigma that surrounded the case. It was a mystery that had gripped the community, a mystery that was far from being solved. Years have passed, yet the Looman family tragedy remains an unsolved enigma. The case, once a hot topic for every local detective and armchair sleuth, has now been relegated to a dusty shelf in the police archives. No new leads, no new evidence, just a haunting silence that gnaws at the hearts of those who remember the Looman family fondly. The impact of this unresolved case on the remaining family members is palpable. Their lives, once filled with joy and laughter, have been reduced to an everlasting quest for answers. The strain is evident in their eyes, a perpetual look of longing for their lost family members. The Looman family home, once a beacon of warmth and love, now stands as a silent monument to the mystery that consumed them. The community, too, has been deeply affected. The Looman family's disappearance was a blow to the serene illusion of their suburban life. Neighbors have grown wary, keeping a closer eye on their children, their doors locked tight at sundown. The tragedy has left a scar, a crack in the idyllic facade that reminds everyone of the fragility of life. Despite the sorrow that their disappearance has caused, the legacy of the Looman family lives on. They are remembered not for their mysterious end, but for the lives they led. Their kindness, their community involvement, their love for each other. These are the memories that outshine the grim circumstances of their disappearance. The Looman family tragedy has become a symbol of the unresolved mysteries that exist in our world. It's a story that forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that not all stories have a clear-cut ending. Some mysteries remain unsolved, leaving behind only questions and the echoes of lives abruptly halted. The Looman family tragedy remains a chilling reminder of the mysteries that can lurk within even the most serene of suburbs. Their story continues to captivate, to haunt, and to remind us that beneath the surface of our everyday lives, extraordinary and inexplicable events can occur.